Hey guys, this is Kevin at ChristianPhotoshops.com, and today we're going to be doing a brand new Photoshop tutorial, and it's going to be on how to take this picture right here and add some rain to it, add a rainstorm going on. So this picture right here can actually be downloaded directly off of our website. Just go to ChristianPhotoshops.com and then click on the free stock images button at the bottom, and we've got hundreds of images that you can download for free to practice with, to play with, and so you can get this one and or get any other picture you want. And what we're going to do is we're going to open it up in Photoshop and we're going to create some rain elements, and it's all going to be from scratch. So before we get started, I do want to clean this picture up a little bit. This is straight out of the camera. This is just my wife in the street with an umbrella. It wasn't raining at the time. It had rained, but it wasn't raining when we took the picture. So there's no editing here. It just took it straight out of the camera. So I do want to just clean it up real quick, so I want to rotate it first. That house in the background is definitely crooked, and it needs to be rotated just a little bit. So we're going to make that house a little bit better, and I'm going to crop it just a little bit tighter. It's a little bit less of the sky, and kind of like that. So just a little bit of rotating and cropping, and that looks fine just like that. Also, there are some people in the background that are walking, and they need to be edited out. I didn't want to wait for them to walk by, so I just went ahead and took the picture, knowing that I could just Photoshop them out. So the way I'm going to edit them out is I'm just going to use my lasso tool, draw just a really broad selection right here, and then I'm going to do a content aware, and the way to do that is go to Edit and Fill. And then what you want to do is you want to fill the contents of that selection you just made with content aware, and then click OK. And Photoshop will do its best to clean that up. So just like that, they're gone. So I don't have to go in and do any more work. Photoshop did all the work for me. Okay, so that looks good right there. And now what we want to do is go and start working on our rain. The first problem we have is the sky is completely white. It was an overcast day. The clouds were it was just straight overcast. There's no detail in the clouds here, so I do want to do something to those clouds. So if you go back on our website, there's plenty of cloud pictures that you can download, and so I'm going to grab let's try this picture right here. This may or may not work. I'm going to bring this picture, this is directly off our website, and then I'm going to put it right there, right over top of it, but I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply. Yeah, I think that'll work fine. And just bring it up about like that. Okay, and I'm also going to desaturate that. I don't really like that blue look, so I'm going to desaturate it to just Control, Shift, and U. We'll just take all of the saturation out, and so it'll be just nice dark and black and white rather than any shades of blue. Then I'm going to take my layer mask, and I'm just going to kind of clean up the parts where it was multiplying everywhere. So just kind of clean up these edges like that. And that's pretty much all you got to do to add those dark clouds. I'm going to make those clouds even darker. So I'm going to do a levels adjustment on those clouds, and then just bring down my whites and bring my blacks a little bit stronger. Make it really dark. Okay, something like that. And let me clean up this just a little bit. Okay, that looks fine. I'll tone it down just a little bit, but I think that looks fine. Okay, so now we have, this is before and after. We have a little bit of character in the clouds, and that's all I wanted. All right, so what we're going to do now, just go ahead and flatten your image if you're happy with that. And we're going to go ahead and start drawing the rain. Now, to draw rain, there's a few ways to do it. Let me show you the way that I like to do it. First of all, we need to create a brush for the rain. So what I'm going to do is create a new file, and we're going to make the dimensions about 1000 by 1000 will be fine. And so we got a brand new file here. It's just a small blank white square here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a brush. So we want to create raindrops. And raindrops don't have to be perfect in shape or anything. But what we're going to do is just take a regular black brush. And when you create custom brushes, everything needs to be in black. So even though the raindrops are going to be white, we got to paint in black. And Photoshop will later figure it out which way we want to do it. So to make raindrops, what we want to do is we essentially just want to have random little spots everywhere. So some are big, some are small, some are close together, and some are far apart. So just make little dots everywhere on this small square that we're doing. So just little dots everywhere. Try to be random with them. Don't do the same size. Don't do the same shape. So some of them are going to kind of be falling apart. Some of them are going to be several in a row. So just have fun with it. And then I'm going to change my layer, my brush color down to more of a gray. And these will be a little bit more translucent. Same thing though, just random dots everywhere. Okay. And whenever you think you've got enough dots there, what we're going to do is just flatten this image and then go to Edit and then Define Brush Preset. And then we'll call this Rain. We'll call it Raindrops. And then when you go back to your original layer, we have a brand new brush. So if you go to your brush panel, the most recent brush you created is this one right here. So if I were to paint in white, this is what the brush would look like. So you see these raindrops everywhere. Now you could just draw raindrops like this, but you see the pattern and it doesn't look very realistic like that. So what we want to do is we want to go to your brush panel, change your shape dynamics, and then we're going to change the size jitter to maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50%, and then change your angle jitter all the way to 100. And that way it'll change the size of the raindrops, and it also change the angle that they're going in. So something like that looks good. Another thing I want to do is change your transfer, change your opacity to about 50% and your flow to about 50%. So some will be brighter and some will be darker. Okay, so now we have all of these raindrops. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of paint raindrops all over the scene. Try to be somewhat uniform with it. Don't put too much rain in one spot. But we're just going to have some raindrops going all over the place. Okay, something like that. I think that looks fine. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer, and let's name this layer. We'll just call it Rain 1. We're going to go to Filter, and then Blur, and then Motion Blur. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a motion blur to all those little drops. So what I'm going to do is about not quite 90 degrees. It's not going to come straight down. Maybe just at a slight angle, like 80 or 75, something like that. And the distance is whatever you think would look good, but I think between 20 and 30 would be fine. So click that, and there you have the raindrops coming down from the sky. But we're going to keep on going. So let's make another layer. We call this one Rain 2. And we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to make it your brush just a little bit bigger. So just make your brush bigger, and then paint some raindrops all over the canvas. Okay. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to go back to your motion blur, and this time, instead of, so we did 75 degrees earlier, I'm going to change it more like 90 degrees, or even go past 90 to like the negative 85 area. And then we're going to make the distance go further. So they're coming at a different angle, and they're going a little bit faster, I guess you would say. There you go. That way we just don't have every raindrop going the exact same direction. So we have 2 rain layers right now. So let's go and make a third one. So we'll call this one Rain 3. And now what we're going to do is make a really big brush. And then we're just going to have some really big raindrops. And these are kind of be the foreground raindrops. So don't do as many. But these are going to be really big right out front. There we go, like that. And then we're going to change our motion blur. And this time we're going to do maybe even more than, maybe like 100. And then we'll change our direction a little bit too. Okay, so that looks pretty good right there. All right, so we got all the foreground rain. Here's all the rain that would be between us and the model. So I do want to put some rain that would go in between the model and that house. So let me go ahead and put all these groups together. We'll call this foreground rain. Okay, so there's the rain off and the rain on. Okay, so I'm going to just leave that invisible for a second. But what I want to do is I want to put some rain behind the model so we can have some depth going here. So what I want to do, first of all, is I just want to go over here to my quick selection tool. Right here on the left, click that, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to draw on the model real quick and make a selection of her. It does not have to be perfect. These are one of the selections that I don't need a perfect outline of. So we got her selected. It grabbed a little bit too much, like over here, and it grabbed that. So we'll just get rid of that. There we go. All right, that's fine, just like that. This does not have to be a perfect selection. But go ahead and copy that selection and then paste it. So now we have 2 models now, so we can leave that right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put, let me go ahead and name that, model for that layer. We're going to put rain that goes between the background and this new model layer. So all the new rain is going to go over here. And we'll call this rain 4. So go back to your original brush. And now what we're going to do, go back to a smaller size. But what we're going to do is we're going to put all the rain back here, and we're going to make it a little bit darker. So instead of a pure white, let's go more like a gray. And then just paint a bunch of rain that you think would go between the model and the background. Okay, that looks fine right there. And then same thing, we'll go to our blur and motion blur and just kind of play around with it. You don't want all the rain going in the same directions. Maybe something like that. Yeah, that looks good. And let's do it again. We'll call it rain 5. And then we'll make this even smaller. And then we'll make it kind of heavier. Because if it's raining harder, the further away the rain is, everything kind of gets more opaque. So it covers up more of the background. So I'm going to have it even nice and thick back here of rain, because your visibility would keep going down the further the rain is away from you. So we're just going to paint a lot of little water drops all back in there. All right, now go to filter, blur, motion blur, and then again we'll just change the direction just a little bit, like that. Okay, I think that looks really good. Okay, so now let's click on, that would be our background rain. And you can also just duplicate that layer. So that rain 5, just duplicate it, and it's going to be even more of it. But I think that's fine just like that. So now let's click on our foreground. So we got foreground, and this will be our background rain. So if you wanted to see before and after, that's before and after right there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Last thing I want to do with that rain is I want to add a couple of little spots coming right off the umbrella. So what I'm going to do is and we'll make these more of a pure white color. So I want to put some spots right there. They look like they're bouncing directly off of the umbrella. Okay, that looks fine. Just a couple little detail spots right there. Okay, so we have our rain already there. Let's go ahead and add some color adjustments. So I want to go make a new adjustment layer. So click down here, and I'm going to do a let's see what we want to do. Let's do curves first. So I want to bring your contrast down. So we're going to do just a nice little S curve here. So just like that, and like that. That looks fine. Okay, and now let's add some, let's do a gradient map now. So let's click on here and click on gradient map. And I'm going to use a gradient that's kind of blue. So maybe like, I don't know if I like this one or not, but this is just a dark blue to a not quite as dark. And so change that to overlay. That's way too dark. So we're going to bring that down just a little bit. Just like that. Okay. And the last thing I want to do is, I feel like the road is way too bright here. So what I'm going to do is just make a levels adjustment layer. I'm going to bring in the light like that. And then I'm going to kind of vignette it. So all I'm going to do, there's my levels adjustment. I'm just going to vignette that. Just like that. Maybe even take a brush. Could take a brush and just use the mask, just kind of brush out some of that. Just that way your eye doesn't go completely to that bright road. All right, I think that looks pretty good right there. All right, so let's go ahead and group everything together. So there's all of our edits. We can change that group name to edits. And let's do before and after. So there's before with no rain, just my wife standing in the road, and then here's after. So it looks like a believable rainstorm is coming down. So that's it for the tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. So if you want to take a picture of you standing in the rain, you actually don't have to go out in the rain and take a picture. You could just take a picture while you're nice and dry and comfortable, and then just Photoshop all of the rain in. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you learned something. If you do it on your own, please show me your work. I'd love to see what you can come up with. So just post it on our Facebook page or email it to me. I would just love to see the pictures you've done. But that's it. Thanks for joining us, and check back soon for more tutorials. Thanks, guys.